What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name is William Tackett. If you haven't met me already, I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor living out of Austin, Texas, 23 years old, and competing at the highest level in Nogi right now. And I'm going to rank what I think are the best takedowns for Nogi Jiu-Jitsu. Alright, our ranking tier is going to start with the worst, which is beta, and then we got sus, stuff that I think that might work, might not work, and then we have it slaps, works really well, and then we got OP, overpowered, best takedown to use in my opinion. We're gonna start with our first takedown. That's gonna be the single leg. Now, I love the single leg. I've actually finished more single legs in competition than probably any other takedown. I think it's highly effective for jiu-jitsu because of the way people stand in jiu-jitsu. Guys stand very upright, normally with a pretty wide stance, and that leads to the lead leg getting attacked quite often with like a snatch single leg, high seated single leg, or anything of that manner that I feel like puts you in a really good spot. Not only to finish the single leg, but to potentially lock your hands around their waist, run to the back, find the body lock. And in jiu-jitsu, we're always trying to get behind somebody anyways, looking to get the finish via rear naked choke behind them. That's like the most effective way we can finish the match, at least for me, and in my opinion. So the single leg is great for that because the single leg allows you to not only take your opponent down, but for them to defend. A lot of times guys limp leg and give you their back, or you can transition to going for like a body lock. In this clip here, you can see me using the single leg, locking my hands in a body lock and using it to get behind my opponent. I think that that's really high on the list. I'm gonna put that as slaps, single leg slaps. It's a solid takedown and it's pretty low risk for the most part. Next takedown we are ranking is Pat Downey's power twist. Now he just put out an instructional on his Instagram explaining this technique and how he uses it. I like this takedown a lot. I've personally not used it yet. I use something similar. I use like a front headlock or a front pinch headlock and go for like a twist from there. But I haven't used like the whole chest wrap that he's using in that demonstration. Now I see some positives to it, but I also see some downsides. We see some downsides in his last match that he had where he went for it the first time. He actually ended up winning the match via this same takedown the second attempt. But the first attempt is what I want to look at, and we can see when he goes for that lock around the chest, he actually isn't getting an underhook on the near side. He's using like an overwrap of their shoulder. And this can be great if you get low enough on their chest and are able to lock their hands and squeeze really tight. But we can see here in this scenario, whenever he locks his hands and he turns his opponent down to the mat, he misses the underhook and lands in a bad spot. And now Pat Downey's amazing. He can wrestle out of these bad positions using whizzers and things like that. Not everyone's that case. So I'm not going to rank this one super high yet. I think that I might change my mind the more I start playing with it. But right now, we're going to rank it as sus because I'm not sure if it just works for Pat Downey or if it's going to work for the rest of us. But he did win the match with it later on, so maybe I'm going to eat my own words with this if I keep practicing it. Now we are working off into maybe one of the more common takedowns that we see lately, and it's the body lock takedown. We see a lot of body lock passing in the sport of jiu-jitsu lately. I've done body lock passing for years. We see Gordon Ryan hitting it all the time. Craig Jones had a spurt where he was using it against guys like Gabriel Arges, and we see Nicky Rod really take it off with J-Rod, them using it at all the different competitions against really high-level opponents. And this same body lock pass can be used kind of from the feet as a takedown. And I've hit it a lot in my matches, and I love the body lock takedown. What I love most about the body lock takedown is it puts you in a really solid spot that is low risk. Other takedowns that might put you in a position where it's hard to hold them down, or even maybe a risk of them catching you in a sub, I don't like as much as I like the body lock takedown because it puts me chest to chest with their back on the mat and allows me to really secure the takedown in things like ADCC rules. It also gives me the opportunity to maybe hunt the back if they're not really trying to resist by turning their back and giving me their back throughout the resistance of the takedown. I might end up behind them with the same body lock and using that to now get my hooks in and score a finish. And like I mentioned early in the video, I love to get behind and look for the rear naked choke. I think it's the most efficient attack we can hit in jiu-jitsu, and you can find that using the body lock takedown. There's plenty of ways to finish using the body lock. Jason Nolf showed me your typical twist to top position. That's what I find is most effective, and whenever they kind of resist and give you their back, then we can always chase the hooks and get a finish there. So I'm going to rank the body lock as OP because there's really not a whole lot they can do defensively to catch us in submissions, so it's so low risk and it puts us in a really good spot to score or find the sub. We're ranking body lock as OP. Next on our list for ranking these takedowns is the snap down. Now, although Snapdown doesn't necessarily count as a takedown, it does put us in a really good spot to score or find submissions, so we're going to count it for the video. Now, Snapdown is outstanding. I would rank this as OP just to start off, but I'm going to explain why it's not going to be ranked OP. Because the thing with Jiu-Jitsu is most guys stand completely straight up, and they're not in a typical wrestling stance. And then since there's no out-of-bound rules, or really any boundaries in competition, guys don't really put forward pressure. They kind of disengage to avoid takedowns. They're not driving into you constantly. So that can lead to where it's really difficult to snap our opponent down. Their head's up and they're moving backwards. The best place to hit a snap down is when our partner's pressuring into us really hard in a solid stance with their head over their toe. It makes for a really easy, nice snap down. And when that's the case, it's OP for sure. It puts us in a really good front headlock position to look for guillotines, Darises, anacondas, or even running to the back. But most of the time, we encounter guys that stand completely straight and back up, and it makes it really hard to hit the snap down. So we're gonna rank the snap down as it slaps. It's a solid takedown, but not quite OP because of the way guys stand. Now we're moving on to our good old double leg. Now, there's nothing to really hate about a double leg. When you see someone like Jason Nolf just run through someone on their feet, pick their legs clear to the other side, and land straight in side control, nothing more beautiful than that. It's basic and it works. But a lot of the times whenever we shoot double legs, guys are expecting it. They want us to shoot double legs. They're standing up straight, almost enticing and begging us to come in and shoot a double leg, and we get caught in the guillotine. So you have to be careful when shooting the double leg because of guys that are setting that trap. Felipe Pena is really good at standing straight up and down and drawing you in to take that shot. And he's finished plenty of guys. He's finished some of the top level athletes in the sport. Lucas Barboza, I remember, he finished in Brazil years back using the guillotine off of Lucas's shot. It's just a great counter to the double leg. So we're not going to rank this as OP. We're going to rank it as slaps because it does work when done correctly, like someone similar to Jason Nolf and finishing that takedown by blasting through them and clearing the legs. But if you don't finish it properly, you are going to get caught in that guillotine and maybe even stuck in the closed guard and get finished. Now we are talking about one of the most common takedowns nowadays in Jiu-Jitsu, and it's the Uchimata. This is a judo takedown that originally went in the gi and made its way into wrestling, and actually is considered something different in wrestling. It's considered the whizzer kick. Kind of two different names for the same takedown. They're just slight variances in how you complete them. Now, the whizzer kick or Uchimata has become super successful. We've seen guys like Marigali, we've seen Michael Pixley, the Rotolo brothers, all these really high level guys nailing this takedown at the highest level. And it puts you in a really good spot for multiple reasons. You have a whizzer and you're taking your partner down to top position, so you can really sag on that underhook really strongly and look for like Darises once you take them down. We saw Ty Rotolo hit that against Marigali at the ADCC back 2 times ago, and then we saw actually Michael Pixley hit it again against Marigali in this last ADCC where he went Uchimata straight to the Daris choke. So this is a very good combination that works very well for Jiu-Jitsu. We're listing the Uchimata as OP. Now for our last takedown of the day, this is the low single leg, probably the most common takedown in wrestling, but one of the least effective takedowns in Jiu-Jitsu. And I want to explain why. One, because there's no way to keep you in the center of the mat. If you shoot low on someone's ankle in Jiu-Jitsu, they just kind of run towards the edge of the mat, and likelihood of losing their ankle is super high. In wrestling, there's the push-out rule, there's the shoe that helps you hold onto their ankle and keep them from slipping away. That makes it much more effective. That's why we see it a lot in wrestling, but we don't see it a lot in Jiu-Jitsu for a few reasons. Mostly because there's no shoe and there's no boundary rule as of right now. And then on top of it, there's just too many Jiu-Jitsu counters that you can see hit from the low single position. We've seen Gino Morelli get caught in the inverted triangle. He's a high-level Penn State wrestler, shoots a low single and gets caught in the inverted triangle. We see Jason Nolf also get kind of in some trouble against Ty Rotolo in his match, using a similar position, resting in that low single position. Now, we've seen Nicky Rod hit the low single at a high level, but he's going against really big, unathletic guys. If he was going against someone more around his athleticism, it would be very difficult for him to complete a low single using no shoes. So we're going to rank the low single as low on the list. We're going to list it as a beta takedown. And if you can hit it in competition and prove me otherwise, be my guest. I'm one to never put rules on Jiu-Jitsu. I think that Jiu-Jitsu is Jiu-Jitsu because we're able to innovate and work new techniques that maybe don't seem like they're supposed to work. So go out there and still try to hit the beta moves if you want. But this is my list. I think that the low single doesn't work too well. And things like body lock, Uchimata, those all work amazing and are really easy to incorporate into your game to make you a higher level wrestler. If you guys liked this type of video, format, please comment down below suggestions on other takedowns that you want me to review, or even other techniques like sweeps and submissions. We'll do more videos like this in the future. If you guys enjoyed them, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment for more content. Thanks, everybody.
Check out my online school to get access to my community and my classrooms featuring all of my different instructionals like wrestle ups, Kimura series, and even some wrestling. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.